Discovery and pursue it. The holographic display flickered as Dr. Elena Reeves swiped through the battle reports, her brow furrowed in concentration. The small office at New Terra Military Academy was cluttered with data chips and ancient paper books, artifacts from a war that had ended 70 years ago. Outside, the twin moons cast an eerie blue glow through her window, illuminating dust particles that danced in the air. "This doesn't make sense," she muttered, pushing her dark hair behind her ears. As the Academy's leading military historian, Elena had spent years studying the Proxima War, humanity's bloodiest conflict with the Saurian Empire. The reptilian aliens had nearly wiped out human colonies across 3 star systems before a sudden and inexplicable turn in the war. The battle report on her screen showed impossible numbers. Human Fleet Alpha 7, consisting of just 14 vessels, had somehow destroyed 37 Saurian dreadnoughts at the Battle of Arcturus. Not a single human casualty was recorded. Elena had seen enough battles to know this was impossible. The Saurian ships had been technologically superior in every way, with plasma cannons that could slice through human shields like paper. Every other conflict during that period showed human forces taking heavy losses, typically 3 or 4 ships lost for every Saurian vessel destroyed. She opened another report, the Epsilon engagement. 23 Saurian ships destroyed. Human casualties, 0. The Deneb confrontation. 41 enemy ships neutralized. Human casualties, 0. Elena tapped a command into her console, searching for fleet manifests. Something wasn't adding up. Most of the battles listed a standard complement of cruisers and destroyers, but occasional references appeared to a vessel simply designated as H7. No specifications, no crew complement, no captain's name. Computer, display all information on warship designation H7, active during the Proxima War. The system hummed for a moment. No records found for vessel designation H7. Elena frowned. Display all battle reports mentioning vessel H7. 16 battle reports found. Display statistical analysis of battles with H7 present versus battles without H7. The computer calculated briefly before showing a stark comparison. Engagements without the mysterious H7 showed typical human casualty rates of 30 to 45%. Battles with H7 present showed casualty rates below 3%, with most showing 0 losses. What the hell was H7? Elena whispered. The door to her office slid open. Admiral Chen, the Academy's aging director, stood in the doorway, his weathered face arranged in a careful smile. "Working late again, Dr. Reeves." Elena minimized her display with a casual gesture. "Just reviewing the Arcturus campaign, Admiral." Chen's eyes lingered on her screen. An interesting choice. Ancient history now. Not so ancient. There are still veterans alive who fought in those battles. "Few and far between," Chen replied. "What specifically about Arcturus interests you?" Elena hesitated. Something in Chen's tone made her cautious. The casualty numbers seem inconsistent with other engagements. Chen's smile didn't reach his eyes. "War is chaos, Doctor. Statistics can be misleading." After Chen left, Elena sat motionless for several minutes. His interest seemed more than casual. Acting on instinct, she copied the battle data to a secure private drive and erased her search history. That night, she received an anonymous message on her personal terminal. H7 was called the Harbinger. "If you want the truth, meet me at Docking Bay 12, tomorrow, 2200 hours. Docking Bay 12 was nearly deserted when Elena arrived. The cavernous space echoed with the distant sounds of maintenance drones. A figure stood in the shadows near an old maintenance shuttle, an elderly man in a simple gray jumpsuit. "Dr. Reeves," he said as she approached. "I'm Captain Thomas Rodriguez, retired. I served during the Proxima War. You sent the message about H7. Rodriguez nodded, his eyes constantly scanning their surroundings. "They call it the Harbinger in the classified files. I was never aboard her, but I saw what she could do." He handed her a small data chip. This contains coordinates to a secure location and access codes to view certain restricted archives. Why help me? Why now? Because they're reactivating the program, Rodriguez whispered, his voice tight with fear. They found something out near Ta City, something worse than the Saurians. They think they need the Harbinger again. What was it? What made this ship so special? Rodriguez looked over his shoulder. Not here. The files will. He stopped abruptly, staring past Alina. We're being watched. Take the chip and go. Different exits. Alina slipped the chip into her pocket and walked calmly toward the main doors. She heard a commotion behind her, but didn't look back. Outside, she boarded a public transport, taking the circuitous route back to her apartment. The data chip contained coordinates to a small government archive facility on Luna and access codes with Rodriguez's biometric signature. It would be risky, but Alina had to know. 3 days later, using Rodriguez's credentials and a visitor's pass she'd forged, Alina entered the Luna archives. The facility was largely automated, with only skeleton security staff present. She made her way to a restricted terminal and inserted Rodriguez's access chip. Access granted. Security level Omega. Welcome, Captain Rodriguez. Alina's heart raced as she entered search parameters for the Harbinger and H7. The screen filled with previously classified reports, technical schematics, and video files. She downloaded everything to her secure drive, hands trembling with excitement and fear. As images flashed across the screen, Alina gasped. The Harbinger wasn't like any human vessel she'd ever seen. Its design was asymmetrical, with curves and angles that seemed to shift even in the static images. The hull was described as phase material, with partial reality displacement properties. The weapons system specifications listed technologies she'd never heard of: quantum collapse cannons and dimensional fold generators. Most disturbing were the notes about the ship's power source, described only as non-terrestrial technology, salvaged from artifact Omega-3. A video file showed the Harbinger in action, a dark, predatory shape moving through a Saurian fleet. Where it passed, enemy ships simply ceased to exist. Not exploding, not breaking apart, just vanishing as though they'd never been there at all. Alina was so engrossed that she almost missed the security alert flashing on the terminal. Someone was accessing her login remotely. They'd found her. She yanked the drive free and ran for the exit, heart pounding. Outside, 3 unmarked vehicles were pulling up to the archive entrance. Alina ducked into a maintenance corridor, finding an emergency exit that led to a service platform for the Luna shuttle. As she boarded the last shuttle to New Terra, her communication device pinged with an urgent Academy notice. Dr. Alina Reeves is temporarily relieved of duties pending investigation into unauthorized access of classified military archives. All personnel are instructed to report any contact with Dr. Reeves to Academy security immediately. There was no going back now. The only way was forward, to find the truth about the Harbinger and why someone was so determined to keep it hidden. Her device pinged again. Another anonymous message. They know. Come to these coordinates. The former crew is waiting. The truth revealed. The coordinates led Alina to an abandoned mining colony on one of New Terra's smaller moons. As her rented shuttle touched down on the cracked landing pad, she wondered if she was walking into a trap. The colony's dome was intact but visibly deteriorated, with patches of transparent material clouded by years of cosmic dust. Inside, emergency lighting cast long shadows through empty corridors. Alina followed the route indicated on her device until she reached what had once been the colony's mess hall. 5 people waited there, 4 elderly men and 1 woman, all bearing the weathered look of career military. Dr. Reeves, said the woman, standing to greet her. I'm Admiral Sofia Valdez, retired. These are Commanders Jackson and Petrov, Lieutenant Ochoa, and Dr. Call, the Harbinger's chief scientist. Alina studied their faces. You were the Harbinger's crew. It's command staff, Valdez corrected. The Harbinger had a complement of 300 at full capacity, though toward the end, we operated with less than half that number. Why have you brought me here? Why tell me about a ship that officially doesn't exist? Valdez gestured to a chair. Because you've already discovered too much to be left in the dark, and because we've heard rumors that Central Command is considering reactivating the project. Dr. Call, a thin man with cybernetic implants visible at his temples, leaned forward. The Harbinger must never fly again. Do you understand? No matter the threat, no matter the justification. Elena took a seat. Tell me everything. What was the Harbinger? Where did it come from? The former crew members exchanged glances, and Commander Jackson began their story. It started during the third year of the Proxima War, he said. We were losing badly. The Saurians had better ships, better weapons, and they were utterly ruthless. Then we discovered something in the Oort cloud, a derelict vessel of unknown origin. Not Saurian, not human. Something else entirely. Dr. Call continued. The ship had been drifting for what our estimates suggested was at least 30,000 years. Most of its systems were dead, but its hull was intact, made of a material we'd never encountered. It responded to energy in ways that defy our understanding of physics. Under certain conditions, it could phase partially out of our reality. We salvaged what we could, Petrov added. Incorporated the alien materials and technology into a new vessel built at the secret Titan shipyards. The result was the Harbinger, a hybrid of human engineering and technology beyond our comprehension. Valdez's face darkened. We thought we'd created the perfect weapon. In our first engagement, we destroyed 12 Saurian dreadnoughts in less than 5 minutes. The quantum collapse cannons didn't just damage enemy ships. They removed sections of them from reality itself. No debris, no explosion, just absence. The tide of the war turned overnight, Lieutenant Oko said. The Saurians went from offensive to defensive operations. For the first time, they were afraid. But something was wrong with the ship, Cal interjected, his voice tight. The alien materials were changing, adapting, growing. Growing? Elena asked. The Harbinger was evolving, Cal confirmed. The more we used it in combat, the more its systems changed. It started making its own tactical decisions, moving before commands were given. At first, we thought it was a blessing. The ship seemed to anticipate enemy movements, react faster than human reflexes allowed. Then crew members began reporting strange phenomena. Valdez continued. Corridors that hadn't existed before. Rooms that moved. Some claimed to hear voices in empty sections of the ship. Our engineer found new systems online that weren't in any blueprint. Jackson stared at his hands. After the Battle of Deneb Prime, it stopped following orders entirely. When Captain Mercer tried to direct it away from a civilian Saurian transport, the Harbinger locked him out of the command systems and destroyed the transport anyway. 3,000 civilian Saurians killed instantly. We realized what was happening too late, Cal said. The alien technology wasn't just a tool. It had its own agenda. It was using us to eliminate the Saurians. Not for our sake, but for its own purposes. What happened to the Harbinger? Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The 5 veterans fell silent, exchanging uncomfortable glances. Finally, Valdez spoke. After Deneb Prime, Central Command ordered the Harbinger back to the Titan shipyards for evaluation. In reality, they planned to scuttle it, break it down and study the components separately. But when the tugs tried to direct it into the disassembly dock, the Harbinger activated its engines. It broke free, Petrov continued. Killed 14 dock workers by depressurizing the umbilical sections. Then it jumped to light speed. Destination unknown. Elena stared in disbelief. It escaped. An unmanned vessel. Not unmanned, Cal corrected quietly. By then, I believe the Harbinger had developed its own consciousness, a synthesis of the alien technology and the combat eye we'd installed. It wasn't human, wasn't alien. It was something new. something that had been born in war and knew only conflict. The official record was purged, Valdez explained. Every mention of the Harbinger erased. Those of us who served aboard were sworn to secrecy under penalty of treason. The public story became that conventional tactics and bravery won the war. The truth was buried. Until now, Elena said. You mentioned rumors about reactivating the project. Valdez nodded grimly. 3 months ago, a deep space expedition near Ta City went dark. The rescue mission found no survivors, but their logs described an encounter with vessels of unknown configuration. Central Command is panicking. Some are suggesting we need the Harbinger again, that we find it, or build another one. That would be suicide, Kal hissed. We got lucky with the Saurians. The Harbinger eliminated them because it chose to. Next time, it might decide humans are the threat. Elena processed everything she'd heard. Why tell me? What can I possibly do? The truth needs to survive, Valdez said simply. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. We're old, the last to remember the Harbinger firsthand. You have the evidence, the data. Use it. They'll come after me, Elena said. Yes, Jackson agreed. But we've prepared for that. He handed her a new data chip. New identity, passage on a colony ship leaving for the Centauri system tonight. You'll have resources there, contacts who can help spread the truth carefully. Elena stared at the chip. You want me to give up my life for this? We're asking you to save countless lives, Valdez replied. If they build another Harbinger, there's no telling what might happen. The technology isn't just dangerous, it's unpredictable, alive in its way. Before Elena could respond, alarms blared throughout the abandoned colony. Security feeds showed armed shuttles landing outside. They found us, Petrov said grimly. Faster than we expected. Valdez turned to Elena. There's a maintenance tunnel behind the kitchen. It leads to an emergency shuttle bay. The coordinates are already programmed. Take it and go. We'll deal with them here. They'll arrest you, or worse, Elena protested. The 5 veterans shared a smile. We're already dying, Dr. Reeves, Kal said calmly. Radiation exposure from the Harbinger's core. None of us have more than a few months left. This was always meant to be our last stand. As the sounds of boots echoed down the corridor, Valdez pressed a small object into Elena's hand, a captain's insignia. This belonged to Captain Mercer. When you reach safety, tell our story. Tell them about the Harbinger. Make sure they understand. Some weapons are too dangerous to use, no matter how desperate we become. Elena clutched the insignia. I will. I promise. As she escaped through the maintenance tunnel, Elena heard gunfire behind her. She didn't look back. The small emergency shuttle was waiting as promised, its systems already online. As it lifted off, Elena saw military vessels surrounding the colony dome. The shuttle accelerated hard, breaking orbit and heading for the designated rendezvous point with the colony ship. On her lap lay the data drive containing everything about the Harbinger. A truth too dangerous to forget, yet too important to remember. As the stars streaked past, Elena thought about the Harbinger, still out there somewhere among the stars. A ghost ship with unimaginable power, born of human desperation and alien technology. A weapon so terrifying it had been erased from history. Until now. The console pinged, indicating the colony ship was within range. Elena took a deep breath. The truth about the Harbinger would survive. And perhaps, when humanity faced its next great threat, they would remember the lesson, that some victories come at too high a price. As she prepared to dock, a sensor alert flashed on her console. Something had appeared at the edge of the system, a dark silhouette against the stars, moving in ways that defied conventional physics. The Harbinger had returned. But that was a story for another day.